So in today's video, we're going to learn how to make this salt pepper mill. Let's check it out. Okay, welcome to the channel. In this next 4 videos, I'm going to show you how I put together some salt and pepper mills. Salt shaker on top, pepper mill on the bottom. And 4 different designs, shape designs, and also segmented designs. So let's check them out. Here's the first video. So this is the one that I'm going to make in this video. This is my first design. So let's see how I put it together. Okay, so once we have all of our pieces set up, we're going to go ahead and glue them all together. So I just have one rubber band around holding them in place, and I have them sort of in order that I want to glue them up. So we're going to have the dark section down there, and then this particular one is going to go to 4, and then it'll go to even number of black and white. Then a little bit more even number of black and white again there, sorry. And here we're getting into less black and then all white here. So we'll put these rubber bands, let's see, I think right on over here. So these are our 9 segments that we're going to glue up, and I like to put them in order that I'm going to put them together. Now, there are many different ways to glue up these segments. You can lay them all out and just put glue across them and put them together, and you see me do that in some videos. In these particular ones, these are relatively small, so I'm not going to do the same thing that I would do in the larger bowls. Larger bowls, I would probably lay out some tape, put them on there, roll it up together, and then clamp them. Now for these, I'm going to use these rubber bands here. You can use clamps like this around them and clamp them up, but I find that the clamps like this one here has a bend in it, and I find that this part right here sort of interferes with the glue up, and sometimes they just don't get glued up completely straight, so they get a little oblong, and so to avoid that, I found that if I use rubber bands, that's fine. Now I bought rubber bands in all different sizes. I have a whole bag of these right here just for these particular ones, and they put a lot of pressure on there. And once you put like 6 or 7 rubber bands around, there's a lot of pressure holding them together. And the nice thing about rubber bands is they're even pressure. It's even pressure all the way around. A clamp is relatively even except for right in this area here, which is where you get the oblong shape, and why I sort of avoid these now. Now, these small ones will glue up relatively easy, so I have some Titebond number 2 here, just regular Titebond number 2. You can use Titebond or 1, 2, or 3, but I always get the number 2, which is somewhat waterproof. If I have larger bowls, or let's say I had 48 segments or number of segments, I would use the extended time Titebond just to give me more time for the glue up. But in this case, relatively simple to get done with this particular one here. So I use a Rockler mat for these. It's a glue up mat. The glue comes off, but it does get quite dirty, so you got to wash it once in a while. And then I want a damp cloth to clean off everything. So the first one I'm going to pull apart here. So I'm going to take my first 2, and again, I want to make sure that I keep them all aligned. You notice that all my mark is on the top. I got marked blank, mark, blank, mark, blank, so on and so forth. So I want to make sure that I keep them in order, keep them all facing the same way. And because these are relatively small, I just put a simple bead on there like that. And then I'm going to rub these together. Make sure I get glue on all the face there. Press these two together. And again right here. And you put a little bit more glue. That one I know I had two going together, but this one I'm going to have a little bit more glue just so that when I press it, I want to see some squeeze out. And I will put all of these down here like that. You can see that that's a good amount of glue on there. And again, keeping them in order. And this, of course, is my pepper side, which, as you heard when I talked about assembling them, is going to be the darker ones at the bottom to symbolize the pepper, and the light ones at the top to symbolize salt. So that way nobody gets confused when they're using the pepper mill. You don't want people confused when they're using the pepper mill. All right. And then the last one, you need to get glue on both sides. So when it goes in there, it has glue on both sides. And I'll wipe off my hand here. And I'm just going to put one rubber band around here just to get this all squared up. You can see how clumsy I am around this stuff. So once I have the single rubber band around there, I want to put it about in the middle. And I want to get all this stuff lined up, and I use the center hole to line it up. And then now I'm going to throw a few more rubber bands around here to get some pressure on it. And this is the way that I found easiest for me to put it on there. You can, these are small enough where you can sort of get away with this once you have a couple on there. But you want to try and put them across there and sort of, missed that one completely, to sort of get at different parts of there. So you got the pressure coming all the way around. This just flattens it down somewhat. We're going to flatten it, of course, in the sander. I'm going to clean off that part and clean off this part right here. And as you can see, it gets a nice tight joint all the way around there if you're using this method. So this is ready to just set off to the side and let dry. And now I will just continue on to the rest of them. Now, I don't know if you noticed before, but once you get the rubber band around here, what you want to do is you want to push these back and forth. See how I'm pushing them back and forth? And what that does is that gets the glue squeezed out and also make sure that we get a nice tight bond there. So once I do that, I make sure that everything else looks good there. I'm going to give it a quick wipe down there, which moved them a little bit. And now I'm going to add more of these rubber bands here. And these are the perfect size. They put a nice fair amount of pressure on the pieces without having to do a bunch of twisting of the rubber band. If you have a rubber band that's just too long, basically you just, twist it and then stretch it out that way. But you can see these are really tight. So these ones are perfect, just a single size. And I bought most of my rubber bands on Amazon. I'll try and put some links down there for you to find some. But they come in all different sizes. I mean, you can get, different sizes. I find the thicker ones work a little better for me. Those are the ones that I like. I don't like the real thin ones. So I'm going to hit this down, flatten this all up, and I'm going to clean this off pretty good. And you see that I get all the glue off there, wipe down below it, and then get all the glue off here also. So I find that cleaning them off does two things. Number one, the water raises the grain a little bit on the top. Water raises the grain a little bit on the top, so that when you run it through the sander, it's going to get a nice smooth finish. And also, cleaning off the glue, there's just less glue clog on the sanding belt. So that's why I sort of clean them all off at this stage. All right, so I like the way that this came out. This is kind of a beefy one. The body is rather big and the head is rather large too. And I think some of its smaller hands may not like this one as much. But I do like the shape of it. And you know, I think if you had large hands, this would be the salt and pepper meal for you. But hopefully one of the kids will like it. We'll know at Christmas time. So if you enjoyed this, please do like and subscribe, and hopefully we'll see you in the next video where I make another one of these.